So today's video is on Judges chapter 2. And right off the bat in verse 1, we see it says, the angel of the Lord asked, I'll read it to you. I think this is from the ASV version. Now the angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim. He said, I brought you out of Egypt into the land I swore to give to your forefathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. You are not to make any covenant with the inhabitants of this land. You are to break down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. Why do you do this? And man, reading that, I felt not scared. I don't know I'm not sure how to put it into words, but I guess I put myself in their place, kind of like Adam in the garden. When God said, where are you? Of course, God knew where Adam was. But I feel like when God asks us a question, he's God, right? So he already knows everything. Like, how do you answer that? I just read that and I just had a very respectful fear, I guess, of God. Imagine God saying, I've done all this for you and I've asked you to just stay faithful to me. Why are you doing that? And it's something for me to reflect on as well. God has been so good to me. He's been so good to you. And he just asks for us to love him and to remain faithful and to stay close to him. So, yeah, I don't know. Whenever I see God asking someone a question, and it says the angel of the Lord. So that was God, because, angels don't bring people up out of Egypt and, we don't worship angels, right? So essentially it's probably Jesus. So anyway, moving on to verse 3, similar to, so verse 3 is talking about a thorn. It says, so now I declare I will not drive them out before you. They will become thorns in your sides and their gods will be a snare to you. That made me think of Paul when he talks about a thorn, right? In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7, where he talks about God, how he had a thorn in his side. And he never specifically said what that thorn is, but we know that thorns, right, in our lives are put there to keep us humble, whatever that may be to you. And so Israel definitely needed that humbling. And, it says in the word that, God, he said, I will not drive them out. They will be a thorn in your side. And that sometimes is there to keep us humble, keep us wanting to be near God. God, help me through this because I literally can't do this without you. So that's what that reminded me of. And then in verse 10, we read that the new generation didn't know God. This new generation didn't know God. They hear the stories, right? They hear the stories about how God parted the Red Sea, but they didn't experience it for themselves, or they didn't know someone who experienced it firsthand. So, maybe that's why they turned away from God. I don't know. Verse 11 through 13, Israel did exactly what Moses and Joshua said not to do. Moses and Joshua, of course, God was speaking through them, but they said, do not tear down their altars and do not make an idol of their idols. And Israel did not listen. They are so thirsty and hungry for an idol or a leader. You'll even read that sometimes some of the judges that were raised up, they wanted them to, be the leader. But God was teaching them at this time that he is their leader. He is the ultimate leader. And in verse 16, Judges, it's a short-term leader to help Israel through different times of need. And you'll see there's many different judges throughout the book of Judges. And then verse 19 is definitely foreshadowing. It just tells you the cyclical nature of the book of Judges. And the book of Judges is definitely not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of gory things in this book. But verse 19 says, verse 18 was talking about the Lord raising up judges. And verse 19, when the judge died, they turned back and they were more corrupt than their fathers, following other gods, serving them and bowing down to them. Yet they refused to abandon their evil practices and their stubborn ways. So Israel is just like a cycle. They need God, a judge helps them, they go back to their old ways. And it's really sad, the book of Judges, in that sense. And then verse 20, the pockets of the Canaanites would not be driven out by God. They had gotten so much provision from God, and sometimes God will say no, but God does that for our own good, right? To, again, teach us to have sustenance only on him, and that he is God, he is Lord, and it's truly to grow us spiritually. So that's all I have for today. Let me know what you learn. As always, I post a new Bible study video on Wednesdays and Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern, and I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.